Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. Coming up, we visit a school in Hessle to find out why the pupils are learning first aid skills. And we have another school for big questions. And my guests tonight in the studio are Anne-Marie Carlberg from North Lincolnshire Council and Nicola Ray and Kyle, who are here to talk about fostering. Welcome to Estuary News. I'm Emma Lingard. Now it's over to Dan Kemp for the news headlines.
Hello there. Grimsby's iconic Tyoxide Tower has been demolished. Health and safety issues meant that the removal of the tower had to be kept a closely guarded secret. It stood idle since 2009. The 1,500-ton structure used to emit steam from the titanium dioxide production plant, an industry that was booming in the second half of the 20th century. The site will now be readied for redevelopment. A local council are warning residents that they may face legal action and be made to backdate payments. West Lindsey District Council are looking to crack down on the council tax single person's discount of 25%. It comes as the authority begin a review to check that existing claimants are still eligible for the discount. Anyone claiming to live alone and receiving the discount that's found not to be will have their discount cancelled. Recyclers in Withensea are being asked to travel to Hornsey or Preston instead to get rid of their household waste. East Riding of Yorkshire Council will shut the facility on Hull Road in the town for 12 days to allow improvement works to be carried out. Maintenance and repairs will take place as well as work to resurface the site from Monday the 29th of June until Friday the 10th of July. A man has been released on bail following the fire at the Lord Line building in Hull. Police were called by the fire brigade at 9:56 p.m. on Wednesday the 3rd at the derelict building on St Andrew's Quay. The fire was extinguished and no one was hurt. The 28-year-old was arrested on Friday on suspicion of arson and is now on bail pending further inquiries. And this week is Carers Week 2015, and to mark the occasion, Navigo has been running celebrations for our local carers. The main event, which happened yesterday at the Humber Royal Hotel, featured massages, craft activities and manicures for carers. David Wilson says that it can be hard to know when you're about to become a carer.
Caring roles can sort of happen gradually. They do happen overnight as well. It's more obvious if something happens and then you find the person that you love, your husband, wife for example, in hospital, and then you have to look after him afterwards. But there's a lot of conditions and things that happen that mean caring happens quite gradually. So the pressures sort of build up more and more as carers realise they have to do more and more for the person that they're looking after.
And if you want more information, stop by the Carer Centre at 1 Town Hall Square in Grimsby. That's all from me for now. More news soon.
You never know when you may need the skills to save someone's life. Now, students at One East Riding Secondary School are being put through their paces so they know what to do if the worst was to happen. It comes as schools are being urged to register for the big first aid lesson to raise awareness of what to do in a medical emergency. Dan Kemp went to find out more.
Students from Hessle High School have been training to know what to do when life is put in danger.
The course that they currently sit in is a PSD, it's a personal development course, which is made up of a number of different elements so that they can be ready for the world of work as soon as they leave in Year 11.
The Year 10 students had a visit from St John's Ambulance to build confidence and remove the panic that usually surrounds those who need to administer life-saving first aid.
I think it gives them life skills. It's something that can build upon through their adult life, and children may be out with their friends, they may come across these situations, and I think they really do need to know what to do and take away that element of panic and give them confidence. One of my colleagues is an ex-ambulanceman, and he came across a girl in a shopping centre giving CPR, and she was an 8-year-old girl successfully doing CPR on an adult. She was doing really well at that, and she'd learnt those skills in school.
The relationship that we have with St John's is fantastic, and they've always been very, very good at providing us with everything we need, from the resuscitation dolls, all the amazing knowledge that they have is always fantastic that they can give up their time.
And it's important for us all to know what to do if we were put into that position.
So for an adult, you would do 30 chest compressions, 2 rescue breaths, and continue with that ratio 30 and 2, 30 and 2, because an adult usually stops breathing because of a heart problem. With children, it's often because of something to do with the lungs, so they stop breathing there. So the priority there is to get the breaths in. So we give 5 breaths, and then we do the same as the adult ratio. But with a child, you tend to use one hand, so you're not putting too much pressure on the chest.
You're watching Estuary News. Coming up later, there's another Big Questions to Little Kids. And Dan Kemp will bring you the sports news. Children and young people of all ages are in need of foster homes across the country, but some people are apprehensive about fostering a teenager. As part of Foster Care Fortnight, there are many events being held for people interested in becoming a foster carer. Well, joining me in the studio now is Nicola Ray, herself a foster carer, and Kyle, her foster son. Welcome both to the studio. Nicola, if I can start with you, what prompted you to become a foster carer?
Initially, at that stage in my life, I had a 5-year-old daughter of my own, and I was keen to have more children. I was in a situation where I didn't think I was going to be able to have any more children, and it was something I started to think about alongside adoption.
I mean, I suppose when you decided to go through that process, there must have been lots of things that were going through your head at the time. I mean, did you think, you know, one day you'd be a foster mother to the family that you have now?
I think I always viewed it as being a long-term commitment.
Yeah.
I always felt that it would never be something that would be a short-term experience for us. For me, it was always going to be something that was going to be a lifelong commitment.
I mean, they're saying that there are shortages across the country, that people don't want to take on, obviously, older children. So the children that you've had come through, have you had them come to you at different ages?
Yeah, absolutely. When we very first started fostering in the very early days, we did quite a few very young children, preschool children, that were very short term, sometimes just for a night, sometimes for a fortnight. Kyle came to us not long after we were approved as carers when he was 5,
Right.
and stopped with us for about 6 months, but then he at that time was successfully placed back with his mum, and then unfortunately that broke down and he came straight back to us again.
Right.
And has been with us ever since. On the other hand, in more recent years, we've had teenagers who have come to us as teenagers, and we had a teenager come to us about 18 months ago who is now placed with us long term. So I've had a mix of all of them.
And obviously, I suppose, do you feel that most people's apprehension maybe about fostering a teenager is that, no offence, Kyle, because I've got a teenager, but it's hormonal. Can they cope with that?
Absolutely, but then at this moment in time, I have 2 20-year-olds and 2 teenagers in my house,
Yeah.
and none of them is any easier or any harder than any of the others for
Yes.
that. They're all individual in lots and lots of ways, but in other ways they're all the same, and they all bring their own little problems and everything else, but it's no different to what you would expect from your own children.
Yeah. And what do you, I mean, for you, what are the benefits of doing foster care?
Oh, it's the reward, the feeling you get when they reach milestones. That milestone, I can remember for Kyle, my aim for him at 11 was to stay in one secondary school for the whole of his secondary school
Yes,
time, so
yeah.
until he was 16.
Yeah.
That was my aim. When he left with GCSEs, a decent grades,
Yeah.
you know, and then went obviously onto higher education and now on to doing a university course, that's just wonderful, you know, when they all exceed your expectations. But again, that's the same with your own children.
Yeah, it is. And like you say, you've been there in their lives to give them that stability, isn't it,
Yeah.
to get there. Kyle, bring you in here now. You're obviously 20 years old now, obviously, Nick, very proud of you, what you've achieved. Ask you then, from how you are now with the family, what to you are the benefits of being with a good foster family?
Well, it's the stability. It's being able to do the sort of stuff that I have done. I know for a fact that if I'd stayed with my real mum, I wouldn't have got where I am today. Nikki's helped me through school. She's always got that extra support for me. Through college, she was always pushing me, and now I've made it to uni. And I just wouldn't have done that without Nikki.
That's absolutely fabulous, isn't it? I mean, obviously, if people out there thinking about, you know, should we take on children. I mean, what words would you say to them, Kyle?
Well, yeah, I definitely would. I mean, I know for a fact that when I grow up, I want to be a foster carer, because it's being able to support those kids that are having a difficult time and need somebody. And it's the stability of being able to do stuff like I've done, of getting to uni, being a successful musician as I am. It's just happy to be there. And that's what kids are when they get there. Yeah, they're difficult, but it's just like Nikki said, it's like every kid is difficult to start with. Yeah. And it's just that stability. Once they've got it, they calm down, they become easier to get along with, and they can make it anywhere if you help them along.
And obviously you've also got an extended siblings that are there as well, so that must be a nice thing to have, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, me and Alice, we're the same age, we get on very well, and my younger sister is one of the best, and our newest addition, she's also a fantastic person, stroppy at times, but every 13-year-old girl is.
Yes, yeah.
So, but it's just fun to have. It's just fun to be with them.
Yeah.
And she might have only been for 18 months, but she is my sister. Yeah. And she always will be.
You see, to hear that is wonderful, isn't it? That, you know, that there are positives in this, because I think some people can put a negative slant on foster care and that. Yeah. And I think it's wonderful. I mean, for you, what tips would you have for anybody out there wanting to be a foster carer?
Find out about it, get as much information as you possibly can, and speak to other foster carers. Find out, you know, what training they've received, what support they receive from different people, and how it would perhaps fit in with their current home life and work life as well, to find out whether you actually think it could work and could go. But there's lots of different ways of doing it. I know there's a need for teenagers, but there's lots of different ways of fostering. Brilliant.
Well, thank you both for coming in, and good luck in your future career. Thank you. Right, now it's time for another school in Big Questions for little kids.
We are from Springfield Primary School. Is it ever okay to tell a white lie?
Personally, it actually depends on the situation, as sometimes it may be for a good reason or sometimes for a bad, but sometimes there's actually no point of telling them a white lie, because it can just end up to be one massive lie that can just carry on and carry on.
No, because I've always been told honesty is the best policy, so, and like, even if it's to help them or to give them confidence, it should be done so that it can't escalate.
Lying is something that has to be done, but it really depends on the situation.
Sometimes, like, if you think it, like, say someone's had a haircut and you don't like it, but it's good to tell a white lie instead of them thinking until they can next have a haircut, thinking like, oh, I look really bad, and then staying inside.
I think it is and not. It depends on the situation.
It's okay if it's to make someone happy or to boost their confidence, but if it's going to have a negative impact, then that's wrong.
What sort of negative impacts?
Like, it could lie to the police, which could pervert it, the case.
And if your school wants to take part in the Big Questions feature, then call the news team on Grimsby 01472 315 553. Earlier we heard from Nicola and Kyle about their experiences with foster care. Well, joining me now is Anne-Marie Karlberg, Service Manager with the Fostering Services team at North Lincolnshire Council. Welcome, Anne-Marie. Now, obviously, we did hear the experiences of Nicola and Kyle, and I suppose it's a very lovely story in a way, that it's a very positive story. Now, one of the focuses of this fortnight is to try and encourage more families to take on teenagers. Why, in a nutshell?
We've found that we've had an increasing number of teenagers that have come into care. So the care population in numbers has remained stable, but there's more of those are teenagers, and so of course they stay in care for longer. They aren't able to be adopted, and it wouldn't be right always for that. And so the teenagers have always been the hardest group to find foster placements for, but actually they're one of the most rewarding groups. So we're really trying to get rid of some of those myths about caring for teenagers.
Yes.
But there has been an increase in teenagers requiring care, and we're more committed to children staying longer, whereas previously in years gone by they'd have left at 16. And as you see, Kyle's still with his carer at 20. He's very much part of the family, and that's the ethos that we encourage. So, you know, so Kyle should stay there, and that's absolutely right. So all the time we need to replace, you know, carers who keep the children forever.
Because it is, I mean, hearing Nicola and Kyle's story, that stability that they have offered him has helped shape and develop him, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a real success story, and that's partly down to Kyle and the you know, the young man that he is, and the nurturing care that Nicola and her family have given him. And I think, you know, Kyle spoke candidly really about some of the challenges that might be there, and that's often what puts people off. And I think teenagers, when they come into care, have had so many difficult experiences prior to coming into care and have experienced lots of rejection. So what they've learned is that people reject them and don't stick with them. So they go to their safe place of knowing they're going to be rejected. So they'll often push the boundaries and push and wait to see that you're going to reject them first. That's what they're looking for. When people stick with them, then they get the results. And it's that stickability and that hard going through the difficulties. One of the things we often think is actually if our own teenagers were swearing, or they'd come home drunk, or they'd run away, we wouldn't say that's it, they're out. We'd stick with them. And carers like Nicola and her husband have done exactly that with the children that they've cared for. So they don't say that's the end at the first hurdle. They stick with them and work through things just as they would with their own children, and that makes the difference.
It does. And I suppose when you're looking to place a child in a home, there's a vetting procedure anyway. Do you try and match, because like you said, some children do have their issues and problems, so you're matching them, are you, with families who you think will be able to help them?
We always try and match the best that we can with the carers that we have. Unfortunately, we don't have a huge number of carers available to choose from. We have many more carers than we've ever had before, but the placements fill up very quickly. But we try the very best to match, you know, with the carers that we know have got the skills to manage those children and to be able to cope with the, you know, some of the challenges that young people, all young people, as Kyle and Nicola have said, whether it's your own children or a child you're looking after on behalf of somebody else, they'll all offer challenges and, you know, be hormonal and be stroppy and do those different things that we expect of teenagers. But we look at those people that can, you know, ride that brief storm really and stick with it. And that's where we try. And actually we've had some carers that have thought that they would only prefer younger children, and they've taken a child who's older on a short break for us and found it very rewarding, and stuck with teenagers then as a result. So, and
that's nice, isn't it, when they do that? Now I did read that the fostering network have said that more and more children seem to be coming into care. I mean, why do you think this is? Why aren't more children coming into care than staying obviously with their natural parents?
Certainly in North Lincolnshire we work really hard to keep children with their families and within their extended families, and we work really hard to very, very early on, so before children are 2, to make sure that we're giving those families all of the tools really and the skills to be able to care for their children. When that isn't successful, that's when we have to make the difficult decision to remove those children, which we have to take to court and go through that process. So in terms of numbers for North Lincolnshire, the numbers are generally around, we've got about 168 children currently in care, and that number has pretty much remained static between 160 and 168 over those last few years. But it's the older age range that is, if you have a baby that comes into care and either can go back home or goes to be adopted, then that's a quick turn around really for those children. With the older children, they stay with the carers for much, much longer. And we want that stability for them, but it means that, you know, we need to replace that space really with another foster carer. So that's where the difficulty comes.
Right, and obviously there are a number of events being held at the moment. So if anybody is interested then, what should they do?
Well, North Lincolnshire Council has a website where you can register an interest. It has much more information on there. They can ring the fostering service on 01724 297 024. There's also foster caring team members at the Brig Bandstand on Thursday. They're at Scunthorpe Market on Saturday and at the Appleby Show on Sunday.
Okay.
So we're around and about.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming in, and
thank you. Thank you for
Sean
having
will be
us.
back again another time.
Thank you.
Now it's over to Dan Kemp again with the sport.
Euro Millions winner Lee Mullen has joined the board of Grimsby Town. Along with his wife Sue, Lee scooped £4.8 million in 2011 and is a huge Mariners fan. In January, his donation helped make the double signing of Gregor Robertson and Christian Jolly possible, while he also made a £10,000 donation to help ensure the club had the best possible preparation for the playoff final at Wembley. In cricket, Hull beat York by just one run in an amazing game. Andy Simpson hit 188, including 10 sixes and 15 fours, as the team scored 347 for 4. In reply, York finished 346 for 7. Cleethorpes moved up to 6th place in the league following a 16-run victory over Doncaster. An incredible over by Alex Osmond when he claimed 4 wickets, including a hat-trick, swung the game Cleethorpes' way. Meanwhile, Driffield lost to Sheffield United by 88 runs. Baseball and Hull Scorpions have lifted a national trophy. Hull hosted the BBF Knockout Cup semis and final on Sunday after beating the Birmingham Bandits in the quarter-finals. The Scorpions beat Manchester Ray at Scorpion Field before defeating the Milton Keynes Bucks in the final. And finally, North Ferriby United appealing for fans to lend a hand with their pre-season preparations. Volunteers are needed to help with some basic painting jobs around the ground, and anyone that can help are encouraged to contact the club. That's all for now. Don't forget to get in contact with any stories you have for us. You can call 01472 315553, email sport@estuary.tv or find us on Facebook or Twitter. And that's all for the sport.
That's it tonight. Thank you to all my guests. If you have a news story, then visit our Facebook or Twitter pages or email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472 315 553. Until tomorrow, good night.
Estuary TV's weather, sponsored by Hornsby's, celebrating 100 years in buses.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. Wednesday is going to be dry with some patchy clouds, but also sunny spells after a chilly start. Onshore breezes will keep coastal areas slightly cooler than inland places, and a maximum temperature of 18 degrees Celsius. Thursday will be dry and bright, and most of the following day. Later, there is an increasing chance of areas of rain.
Estuary TV's weather, sponsored by Hornsby's, celebrating 100 years in buses.